Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the video. I'm Get Good Guy, and recently I put up a poll asking what the best medic rifle is in BF1. Now, YouTube limits polls to 5 possible options, so I selected the 5 most popular medic rifles based on usage time, as there's no realistic chance that anything else would take the top spot, which means that my beloved RSC didn't make the list. But alas, after 1.4k votes, the Fedorov Avtomat Trench ended up taking the top spot in what I deemed to be a slightly surprising result. It beat out the autoloading extended by achieving 34% of the vote compared with 30%. Now, I fully expected the autoloading extended to win. I really did. But regardless, whatever wins ends up being the focus of the video. So today, I'll be talking about why I believe people think the Fedorov Trench is the best, whether it makes sense to me, and finally whether I agree with it. And I'll go through all of this while the backdrop displays some highlight plays of the weapon in my hands, followed by some of my kills shown in chronological order from a few games, so you can also get a grasp of how the Fedorov performs on a standard gunfight to gunfight basis. But just very quickly before we jump into that, I just want to invite all of you to the new Discord server that we've just set up, something that I'll do for a few videos for a little while whilst it's fresh. The link is in the description and my pinned comment. It's something I've been asked about a lot of times, it's growing, and so far it's been a very positive experience and it's very welcoming. So please come and join Get Good Guy headquarters on Discord, we'd love to have you there, and if you don't have Discord, it takes a matter of minutes to set up. Now, back to the focus of the video. Let's dive into the basics of putting bullets into bad guys. So the Fedorov Trench has a max damage per shot of 28 and a minimum damage of 19. Now this is pretty low for a medic rifle, but it does have a rate of fire of 449 rounds per minute. So what does this provide us with? Well, it results in a pretty quick optimal close range time to kill, which is the very obvious first reason why the weapon is popular. People generally like to kill things quickly, and a lot of people prioritize close quarters fights over other ranges, probably because in a close quarters battle you almost always have one individual die because there's little scope for escaping, taking cover, etc. Also, a lot of players like to play aggressive and or run around with little thought and just try to have fun, plus close quarters weapons allow some players to push objectives and make things happen for their team. So the Fedorov is a good match for those thought processes, and this is without mentioning the other very obvious trait of the Fedorov. It's fully automatic, which means its ease of use skyrockets for the average player. Put simply, removing the need to pull the trigger multiple times or pacing the tempo of firing shots makes for an easier playing experience for many users. It removes an aspect of mental processing and allows the individual to focus more so on other tasks, such as just tracking the target. Basically, it allows the user to spray and pray if they so wish. This can then be coupled with pretty decent vertical recoil, making it fairly simplistic to keep your sights at the same level as the enemy. I hypothesize that a lot of players subconsciously prioritize good vertical stability over good horizontal stability for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it's much more obvious that your sights are flying up way over the enemy than when they push to the left or right of them, and secondly, you can't control vertical recoil by strafing left or right, as you at least somewhat can with horizontal recoil. If I'm correct in this thinking, then it would explain why many players are willing to deal with the struggles of horizontal recoil when using the Fedorov Trench. Next up, we have the desire to hip fire, something that's very strong in BF1, and this variant of the Fedorov excels at it to some extent due to it being a trench variant. This is also why I feel the trench is more popular than the optical variant. Although the optical has its merits, the trench doubles down on the strengths of such a weapon and the way that most people will try to use it. Up close and personal, hip firing often, and without the need for optical sights when using ADS for most engagements. That being said, as you've seen and will see in the footage, it is possible to tap fire at longer ranges if you have good target acquisition, despite the Fedorov Trench not really being designed for this usage. Now, it's nowhere near as good at such ranges as many other medic rifles, but it's still possible to drop someone in the distance from time to time if you so wish to try. And those are the main aspects that I consider to play into why the Fedorov Trench may have topped the voting for the best medic rifle in BF1. So now, does it make sense to me? Well, yes, from a certain perspective. I think the Fedorov Trench caters to the masses, in that it's essentially the quote-unquote easy mode weapon for the medic class in terms of how the average player plays an FPS game. Realistically, it feels more like an assault weapon, and it's been placed into the medic class to fulfill that playstyle role. And because of this, I feel like DICE also made sure it's got a lower skill ceiling to go along with a lower skill floor. By that I mean it's pretty easy to pick up and use to an average to somewhat skilled level, but it isn't as rewarding for the individual when fully mastered in a way that other weapons are. That's not to say that good players don't use the Fedorov Trench, and it's not to say that there's anything wrong with the Fedorov Trench. People should use whatever they enjoy. So yes, I do see why it might be voted as the best, but, and this takes matters to our final section, I don't personally agree with it. I think it's the best medic rifle from one specific perspective, and that's for spray and pray rushing with lesser consideration of other tactical factors. I would then choose the autoloading extended as the best medic rifle for out and out kill time and somewhat versatility, the Farquhar Hill for absolute versatility, and the RSC for high skill target acquisition and dominance at almost all ranges. But I need to qualify and quantify why I feel this way. Well, although the Fedorov does have a fast optimal time to kill at close range, it actually lags some way behind the autoloading extended out to 22 meters. So one of its key strengths is actually bested by a direct competitor if the user has a fast enough trigger finger. But if ease of use is still a key factor, then let's compare with the M1907 SL. You can also use a fully automatic variant for this weapon, although I don't recommend it over the other ones. But regardless, the M1907 actually has a very similar optimal time to kill to the Fedorov out to 30 meters and then becomes far superior from there on out. Now this does come with its own downsides of strong recoil, etc., but for sheer time to kill numbers, it doesn't make the Fedorov look all that dominant. This is because the Fedorov requires 5 bullets to kill from 31 meters out and 6 from 39 meters out. And now let's get into that term, ease of use, because is it easy to fire this weapon? Yes, but is it easy to hit the target? Well, not necessarily when you consider other options. Why do I say that? Well, the Fedorov doesn't have great horizontal recoil, which is made worse by spread when you combine the two, because although it has fairly standard spread while moving for a medic rifle, this is a fully automatic weapon, so it compounds the problem for a couple of reasons. Firstly, being full auto, it also has a faster rate of fire, so there's no real pacing of shots and ensuring you hit the target. And also, it's essentially designed as a run and gun weapon, but moving while shooting causes the spread to increase, as I just stated, which is then applied to the poor horizontal recoil, and suddenly your bullets are going everywhere if you're firing outside of very close range, which is a pain for me and is one of the worst examples of this problem I've seen on a medic rifle in BF1. Now, planting my feet whenever possible and just firing while stationary did help a lot, but it's just kind of limiting and doesn't really play into how it feels the weapon should be used. I guess this is where the balancing factor comes in to make sure the gun isn't overpowered, but it just feels kind of counterintuitive. And then obviously this along with the damage model makes it a poor range option overall, which is worsened by a poor muzzle velocity stat of 570 meters per second. So basically, no, I don't think it's the best medic rifle in BF1 at all. Its close quarters killing potential is good, but not the best, and its range ability is lacking. The thing it relies on is ease of use, but that comes with its own limitations long term. But the standard rule applies as always. If you enjoy something, then use it, and the best weapon for you might not be the best weapon for someone else, or the best overall weapon in the game. So what do you think of the Fedorov Automat Trench? Do you like it? And either way, why? And what's your best medic rifle in BF1? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button for me. If you're new here, remember to subscribe, join the Discord server, and turn on those notifications with the bell button so you don't miss future content. Now let's go over to the Board of Awesome for the epic people who support the channel on Patreon. They're helping me to do this full time, so thanks so much to everybody on here. If you want to join them on the Board of Awesome, the link to the Patreon page is in the description and my pinned comment. And with that all said, I'm Get Good Guy, and I'll see you next time. Laters.